Good evening and welcome to the Nevis Newscast. Today is Friday, 7th April 2017. I'm Fredicia Liebert. The second edition of Exposition Nevis, All Things Tourism, was launched Thursday evening with an address by Minister of Tourism in the Nevis Island Administration, the Honorable Mark Brantley. Activities for the 2-month-long celebration begins this weekend with the third edition of the Nevis Blues Festival, a Breadfruit Festival, and a church service. During his address, the minister highlighted the objectives of the exposition.
To showcase the dynamic, authentic, and multifaceted nature of the Nevis tourism product. To increase awareness and appreciation among locals and stakeholders of the uniqueness and accomplishments of the Nevis tourism industry. To offer an opportunity for the Ministry of Tourism and its many stakeholders to have more visibility in terms of their roles and functions. To emphasize domestic tourism. To expose our youths to the many career opportunities in the tourism industry. To provide added mileage to pre-existing community-based and corporate tourism events such as the Nevis Blues Festival, the Barnesgut Breadfruit Festival, the Kite Flying Competition, the Jessop's Community and Hanley's Road fishing events, and the Booby Island Regatta. To provide an opportunity to locals and visitors to be engaged in the Nevis tourism experience.
The theme for 2017 is Sustainability is Our Responsibility, and it is timely, especially as it relates to the declaration by the United Nations World Tourism Organization for the International Year of Sustainable Tourism.
Sustainable tourism requires a delicate balance of people, planet, and profit, better known as a triple bottom line. In simpler words, we must ensure that Nevisians benefit economically from tourism, that's the profit, while at the same time ensuring that our culture and heritage are well protected and preserved, that's the people, but making sure none of our tourism development harms the environment, that's the planet. I must remind us that our island is marketed under the tagline Nevis Naturally, and this speaks to the emphasis that the Nevis Island Administration has placed on sustainable tourism, whether it be our relentless pursuit for green energy, ensuring that our historical sites are preserved and showcased, or through promoting tourism education from primary to tertiary levels to ensure that our youths understand the critical importance of their role in sustainability.
The ministry has put together a series of activities to showcase to both visitors and locals the sustainable options available on Nevis. The 6-week calendar is expected to culminate on May 20th with a Tourism Awards Gala. During his address, Minister Brantley reflected on late Permanent Secretary Carl Williams and how he contributed many years of dedicated service to the industry.
May we remember his passion for sustainability and the promotion of all things Nevisian. He truly loved his island, his country. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Mark Brantley. The Nevis Island Administration, with assistance from a generous benefactor, will be making a tangible memorial for Nevis's first Premier and national hero, the Right Excellent Dr. Simeon Daniel. Deputy Premier Mark Brantley made the announcement when asked about work ongoing at the Nevis Tourism Authority's apron.
We were able to partner with some very generous homeowners at the Four Seasons, a chap called Mike Heinrichsey and his family, and they came up with the idea of donating a statue of Dr. Daniel, so Simeon, Dr. D as I knew him. And so what we're doing right there in the heart of Charlestown is to mount that statue, and we're going to have a ceremony. The whole of Nevis will be invited. We're now just putting in the infrastructure, if you will, to make sure that it's there. So the family, they're aware of the intention. We've been toying with the idea for some time, but we now think we have the right approach to it, and we're putting it right there so that anybody coming off the pier, anybody in that central busy area in Charlestown will be reminded of the contribution made by Sir Simeon Daniel.
Daniel, in many circles and across party lines, is regarded as the father of modern-day Nevis.
Too often, we see people who are not, in our view, properly remembered, properly honored, and we want generations to come to understand that Sir Simeon gave tremendous service to the island of Nevis, and that he's responsible for a lot of what we now take for granted. You think about the Four Seasons, you think about the Nevis Sixth Form College, the Bank of Nevis, Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation, water upgrades, educational upgrades, all of this, I think we were able to achieve under his leadership and with his vision. Even, as I like to tell people, the Nevis Island Administration, because he was the one who negotiated a Nevis Island Administration, which makes it possible for us to have a premier and a government in Nevis and for Nevis. And I think that these things we ought to continue to talk about because it's a critical part of our history.
Brantley was a guest on the 4th edition of Government at Work on Vaughan Radio. The show is hosted by Public Relations Officer in the Nevis Island Administration, Keith Scarborough, and provides an uninterrupted 90 minutes with ministers of government and other senior officials. April 7th, 2017 was observed as World Health Day. This was done under the theme Depression, Let's Talk. Dr. Carissa Etienne, Director of the Pan-American Health Organization, in an address across the region, emphasized the importance of mental health to physical health across our communities.
It's an illness that affects you, me, all of us, directly or indirectly. It can be debilitating. Sadly, it results in more than 65,000 suicides each year in the Americas. The disease I'm talking about is depression. Let's talk. Depression does not discriminate. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. It strikes people of all ages, races, and backgrounds.
Depression is responsible for broken relationships and can affect a person's ability to earn a living.
It carries a high social and economic cost. And because of the stigma attached to depression, few people want to talk about it. But I have good news. Even the most severe depression can be overcome with proper treatment. And the first step to getting treatment is to talk. If you know someone who has depression, please be the person who listens to them. If you suffer from depression, take that first step today. Talk to someone. It can be a family member, a friend, a doctor, or a spiritual guide. Someone that you trust and who will listen.
Depression is a common but serious mood disorder. It causes severe symptoms that affects how you feel, think, and handle daily activities such as sleeping, eating, or working. Some symptoms are persistent sadness, anxious or empty moods, feelings of hopelessness or pessimism, irritability, feelings of guilt, worthlessness or helplessness, loss of interest or pleasure in hobbies and activities.
Everyone who has depression deserves support, respect, and good care. So please, speak out. Let's talk.
The Pan American Health Organization put out a number of videos for World Health Day where victims spoke about their battle with depression and how they overcame it. Still to come, Stop and Think Rally held. The details are right after this break.
As a responsible taxpayer, you help to finance free health care at all health centers on Nevis. Thank you for putting country above self. This message was brought to you by the Inland Revenue Department, Nevis. Be a responsible citizen.
Welcome back. Yesterday afternoon saw the close of the Stop and Think project in the form of a school rally where the 8 public primary schools and 3 secondary schools on the island participated, beginning at the Old Hospital Road and culminated at the Grell Hall Stevens Netball Complex. Over the last 10 weeks, the crime reduction project Stop and Think has been in both the primary and secondary schools. The project is a collaborative effort between the Ministry of National Security on St. Kitts and the Department of Education on Nevis. Crime reduction specialist and architect of the Project Stop and Think, Dr. Niels Chaitan, has been giving talks and various other activities to put a stop to crime in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. At the closing ceremony at the netball complex, Dr. Chaitan gave special awards to firewoman Catherine Joseph and police officer Leon Michaels for their assistance in the program.
Pleasure on the behalf of the Ministry of National Security, signed by P.S. Petty, to recognize Catherine Joseph for her assistance in coordinating Project Stop and Think Crime Reduction Series on the island of Nevis. Mr. Michaels, your support was unbelievable, and because of your support, we were able to touch every school in Nevis.
Student of the Charlestown Secondary School, Ahijah Joseph, shared her experience over the 10-week period.
We all learned that we must always have a high esteem and not a low one, and always think about the future and what we want to be when we get older, and most important, to stop and think before you proceed in the action.
Premier of Nevis and Minister of Education, the Honorable Vance Amory, led the march along with his Assistant Permanent Secretary, Kevin Barrett, and other government officials. Premier Amory says that he remembers Nevis as a quiet and peaceful place, and we need to get back to that stage.
We look back 15, 20 years ago, and we know that Nevis and St. Kitts, and especially Nevis, was a very quiet place. Secure. Not that it is not secure, but there are too many things happening around us in our communities, happening in our schools. The incidence of violent crime creates an issue for us, and that it is a deterrent to our people feeling comfortable. And it is in an effort to change that strategy, getting to the young people so that we do not have an increase in the recruitment of people into the criminal activity. We want to stop that. Those who are in it, we will work to get them out of it. But we want to prevent any additional recruitment.
Chairperson of the ceremony was Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security, Osmond Petty. Principal Education Officer Palsy Wilkin delivered the opening remarks. At Wednesday's hosting of the Gulf Insurance Interprimary Championship, there were various guests interviewed live by Abernathy Liburd to talk about their impressions on the 35th edition of the Interprimary Championship. One of the guests was Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Vance Amory.
The event today is most likely the biggest crowd that we've seen. And I feel people have come to appreciate the Interprimary Championships. And I feel very proud that the support we've had from parents, from people in St. Kitts, has really surpassed our dreams and speculations for this 35th edition of the sports. But I feel also that we have to give very large credit to the Gulf Insurance for the 25 years of sponsorship. And we are certainly asking or believing that this year being the last year, I think it's been the best competition we've had. I think the competition itself has been very, very keen. It's been clean. The sportsmanship has been of the highest level.
Prime Minister of the Federation, the Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris, was also interviewed. Liburd made mention of the Mondo track, which is currently under construction, and the hopes of Nevis hosting some of the events that are usually held on St. Kitts. He questioned if the Fair Share for All slogan will also be applied to the Mondo track on Nevis.
I think it will be very fair to say, with this state-of-the-art facility, certainly Nevis has become extremely competitive for the hosting of events not only within the Federation but regionally. And so I am sure that there will be a certain allure, a certain, as it were, pull to have as many events in the sister island of Nevis, and the federal government would be extremely supportive of those efforts.
The Gulf Insurance Interprimary's live coverage was done by the team at the Department of Information in collaboration with the Department of Youth and Sports and Cornerstone, as well as Agile Junction Technologies. The last statistics showed just under 8,000 persons viewing the Gulf Insurance Interprimary Championship on www.nevistvonline.com. We again would like to express our thanks to all those who partnered with us in making the live stream a success, and to viewers we say a special thank you. That's it for this edition of the Nevis Newscast. On behalf of all of us here at the Department of Information, I'm Fredericia Liburd. Thank you for viewing.